Hello and welcome everybody. I am Nora Huszka, the artist of this brand new artistic tarot card deck called the Gypsy Palace. And today I'm here to share you more about the minor cards and especially the court cards. But how I would like to do that is with the help of a story. So I want to enchant you a little bit to a magical world of the Gypsy Palace with a story. So please lay back and let me tell you a little fairy tale about these cards. Once upon a time, there was a place. It was called the Gypsy Palace. A lot of people lived in that palace, but actually nobody knows where it existed. And nobody knows who were these characters living in there. But what we know is there lived an ancient painter who painted portraits of these people. And I just happened to find them. All these magical secrets and stories are hidden, but we know some of them. And I would like you to have a look into all these rooms of this hidden magical place. What we know is that 4 families lived in that palace. They were all very, very different. And they all had their own kingdom. Though they lived in the same palace, it was no problem for them. I don't mean that there was no arguments or there was no conflict, but when people live together, that's how we experience. And this is how it happened the same. So we had 4 kings and 4 queens living in the same house. They were all married couples and they all had their children. So there was a queen and a king and the whole family. And of course, some of them were cousins and some of them maybe had affairs. We don't know exactly everything, but you know how it goes in a gypsy palace. So I would like to introduce you to the first family. They are called the Vans. The Queen of Vans is a wonderful, beautiful, strong and fiery woman. She was full of energy in her whole life, and especially when she was young. And she was very seductive as well. One day, she happened to meet with a generous, pompous, fantastic man. He was the king of Vans. And of course, they married and lived happily even after. As an open, very, very nice and sometimes a bit too much spontaneous couple. They had their own place in their palace, and later we will see who are these their children. But now let me tell you a little bit about the next room. In there lived the other couple. They were the Cups. The Queen of Cups, when they met, was a bright, wonderfully beautiful, expressive woman. She was, I would say, a kind of real, intuitive, sensitive, emotional, a bit introverted woman. Her heart was open, but she was also very valuable. And she happened to meet this man who was just floating around with the energies. He was into arts and into music, and she really enjoyed it. And this queen really needed, she was at that time not queen, but she really needed somebody on her side, because she was also sometimes getting a bit floating away with her emotions. So she always had this golden shadow behind her, which meant to me that she needs somebody on her side to be a full a complete woman. And she found the King of Cups, and they were happy as well. Their relationship was quite different than the Vans, but every love is different. They were more melting into each other, while the Vans, they more enjoyed experiencing the extremes to try out new things. That was the real bond in their marriage. Each of the marriages are different, and we all know that, or maybe not all of us, but sooner or later have to face that. Marriage is about love, but not only about love. It is also about supporting each other. It is also about completing each other. And how you can see on these portraits, the queen is the woman's side of the king, and the king is the man's side of the woman. And they complete each other, and they are just another expression of this kind of energy, what was guiding one family. So there was another family next door. They were a bit rough neighbors, the Swords. They were very much living in their heads, and well, although they had brilliant communication, somehow they seemed to be a bit cold. The Queen of Wands, she is a very, very bright woman, also very pretty, very stylish. She really belongs to her thoughts and the freedom of these thoughts. Though sometimes when you just try to seduce her in the usual way, that is not going to work. So when she met the King of Swords, and they became a real married couple, she was very happy because this king was also a bit rough on her. He was more seducing with his brilliance of the intelligence and not just flattering with empty words. So they really liked it and they married so. And then there was the Pentacles. They were also very welcoming, very nice couple. The queen was a hard-working woman, but she did not lose her beauty during work. She just became more and more beautiful. She was feeding his man as he could. And the king was a very big-hearted, generous man. He really loved working and enjoyed to look to his workers. And they had big lands and they liked to visit it. They took care of each other and they were really much in the thought, in the idea that their plans are going to work out. They always had plans. So, you see, these couples were all very, very different, but they all had their kingdom. And these kingdoms were somehow all in this Gypsy palace. And what I would like to tell you with this story, that we have 4 women here, just with the queens. I'm not looking at the pages or the other cards at the moment. We have 4 women here. They are all very different. They all have their good sides and maybe their negative sides. And so does the man. I'm just mentioning always women first because somehow it seems polite for me. And we can look at the kings as well. What is the connection between these kings? Because for 4 kings to live in the same palace is sometimes not easy. So, as they live together, they sometimes really happen to meet. And for example, I think that the Queen of Wands and the King of Cups could be very good friends. They have something in common, but I'm curious if you can spot out what do they have in common. They are the closest to you. So it's important in this deck that we have the symmetry, but the symmetry here is not going to be perfect. It's the more the balance. So in these four cards, for example, the kings and the queens, we have four, and this is divided to 3-1 units. And that's why you see one from the queens is the closest to you, is shown like this, and one of the kings also like this. This brings the balance to this deck. And they can really interact with you. So they have really something to share. The others as well, but they are the most interactive, I would mean. And but let's spot something else out. Like let's say the Queen of Cups and the King of Swords are meeting. I think you see a very interesting duality in these pictures. So they seem nothing to do with each other, but actually they really have something to do with each other. They are the only characters in the court cards who have no hands, which means they are not taking an action. They are more living in their minds or in their heart, and this connects them. I would like to give you a little insight to these cards with this story, but I'm not going to tell you all the secrets which are hidden there. I'm just giving you a bit inspiration, a bit motivation to look at them by yourself or in readings. Because actually what I was talking about when these characters are meeting is on the table on your readings. So I'm very curious how these characters are going to meet in your life or in your experiences. So that was just meant to be a little teaser, a little story to the court cards, to the kings and the queens. I hope you enjoyed it. And for more, you can watch my other videos where I'm talking about the major cards, and you can also visit us on Facebook and on my webpage norahuszka.com for more information, and of course to order your signed deck, which is a brand new limited edition deck, so don't hesitate to order it. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very nice week.